Once upon a time there was a king fortunate and loved by his people who had a beautiful and virtuous wife as his wife. From her union had been born a girl with the same charms and virtues of her mother. The king was known to love the donkeys, especially one, whom he cared for as if he were one of the family. But the misfortune visited the king one day when his wife fell seriously ill. The queen, feeling her last hour approaching, said to her husband, "Let me, before I die, ask you for one thing. If you want to remarry, I beg you to find a princess who is more beautiful and better than I am." After obtaining the king's promise, the queen closed her eyes forever. The king cried restlessly for days, and the pain accompanied him for a long time. But he finally realized that he had to remarry, for he had no son to inherit the kingdom. The king began to look for a wife, but if matching the beauty and virtues of his wife was difficult, even more so was finding a woman who had overcome them. One day, after meeting many princesses and nobles casaderas without any satisfaction, the king realized that his daughter, already of marriageable age, was still more beautiful and virtuous than his mother. In a sort of madness, the king decided that he would marry his daughter. The girl did not want such a thing, so she went to visit her fairy godmother, the fairy of the lilacs, to help her. The fairy, who loved the infanta, told him that she was already aware of what he was about to say to her, but that she did not worry, nothing could happen to her if she faithfully performed everything she told him. The fairy advised the princess to ask her father for all kinds of impossible things to keep him entertained. But his father was diligent and got everything his daughter asked, however complicated it seemed. As nothing seemed to work, the fairy told the princess, "Your father will be a little stunned if you ask the skin of that ass he loves so passionately. Go, and do not stop telling him that you want that skin." The princess went to see her father and asked for the skin of that beautiful animal. To the surprise of the young woman, the king accepted. The poor ass was sacrificed and his skin was given to the princess. The fairy godmother went to see the princess and said, "Cover yourself with this skin, leave the palace and go as far as the earth can take you. I make sure your things go wherever you are. You only have to want it to make your things appear." The princess clothed herself with the donkey's hideous skin and left the palace without anyone recognizing her. When he knew his flight, the king sent the whole guard to search for it throughout the kingdom. Meanwhile, the princess came very far, to a farm from another neighboring kingdom where she came to serve. On the farm he was the target of the crude jokes of the other servants because of the disgust that inspired his ass skin. One day, the princess decided to wash and put on her dresses to look prettier in her room, where no one could see her without her ass skin. No one who had seen her then would have recognized her. One day when Donkey Skin had donned his sun-colored dress, the king's son, who belonged to the farm where he worked, made a halt there to rest on his return from hunting. As he walked along the farm, the handsome young prince entered through an alley, the alley to which the donkeyskin window opened. The prince saw the girl, but not with her ass skin, but arranged in one of her best dresses. The prince was taken with her and hid so that the girl did not realize that he was there. The prince went to the farmhouse to ask who the girl was in that room. They told her that she was a servant whom they called Donkey Skin because of her filthy garment. The prince did not pay much attention to the references, and he left, still thinking of the girl, from whom he fell in love with no remedy to the point of falling ill with love. Skin of Donkey, knowing the feelings of the prince, who were well known throughout the kingdom, also fell in love with him. The Prince of Asal the prince found it very difficult to convince his parents that he wished to be a donkey's skin, for it was not right with his parents that the heir should marry a filthy maid. The prince agreed to marry whom they said for the sake of the kingdom. But when the prince died of love, his parents told him that they would do everything in his power to save him. The prince only asked to be commissioned to peel the ass that made him a cake. A servant came to carry the message. Ass skin went into his room and he managed to make the cake, because it felt so much better. But while he made the dough he dropped a ring inside. The prince found the ring inside while eating the cake. Assuming that that ring could only belong to a young woman with a high crib, she agreed with her parents to marry the young woman to whom she fitted her finger. All the women of the kingdom tried it, but it was not worth it. It was the prince himself who approached the farm to inquire about Peel the ass. She was dressed as a princess in her room when the prince arrived, so she hurried to put the ass skin on her. Everyone was surprised to see the thin, delicate hand that came out under the black and dirty hoof of his clothes, which he took off to discover as beautiful as it was when the ring snapped on his finger. The prince married the princess and reigned happily ever after.